Some people think the Greataxe is a brain-dead weapon, an unskillful amateur-hour face-roll option of weaponry. You wanna know what I think? I see a Greataxe, a full-size 4x4 Jeep Wrangler Transforma Giga Chad Alpha Male. We're not just spinning to win, we're out here mowing the grass of the battlefield, chopping down every peasant in sight, and weed whacking like we're getting paid for it. So the next time you pick up a Greataxe, just know you're not just choosing a weapon, you're choosing a goddamn lifestyle. Welcome to the Greataxe Club. Welcome to Scripted Gaming. Hey you guys, welcome back to another Albion Online video. I hope you've all been doing well, have had a great week, and are looking forward to more Albion Online content. Last week, I uploaded a video showing a few ways how I like to farm fame and silver. And after reading the comments, I was happy to see you guys found it helpful and wanted to try it out for yourselves. After reviewing the video, the one silver method I was more curious about was Corrupt the Dungeons. You see, usually I only run Stalker Corrupt the Dungeons, and typically receive decent amount of loot, silver, and fame. But I wanted to take it one step further and see how much silver I can make running Slayer Corrupt the Dungeons. For those who don't know, Corrupt the Dungeons provide a different amount of loot bonus depending on which difficulty you choose. Hunter being the lowest, and Slayer being the highest. Another key factor to your loot bonus is your Corrupt the Dungeon infamy. As the higher your infamy, the more likely it'll be that you'll receive a generous amount of loot. You can check to see your current loot bonus by right-clicking on your character portrait in the top left-hand corner of your screen, clicking Stats, and hovering over your infamy for Corrupt the Dungeons. Here, the loot bonus will be displayed for each difficulty. If you want a more accurate number for your chest bonus, you can go into a Corrupt the Dungeon and open any chest from a boss. Here, your loot bonus will be displayed above the loot. As you can see on screen, the loot bonus you'll be seeing in this video is around 200%. This is actually fairly low compared to what other players have, which made me even more surprised to see just how much loot I made for running only 10 Corrupt the Dungeons. This bank tab is all the loot I received in the short amount of time, equaling out to a value of around 1.5 million silver. And that's before opening the bags of silver, which will push us closer to about 2 million silver. On top of that, I also received a large amount of fame with Tomes of Insight, with all these books combined equaling out to 272,000 fame. So now that we know running Slayer Corrupt the Dungeons is profitable, let's talk about how it's done, so we can get you guys making millions of silver per hour. Real quick, if you guys enjoyed today's video, I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribe to the channel, as we upload new videos every Sunday. Also, if you wanted to join the Greataxe Club community Discord, I'll be leaving a link in the video description below, so I hope to see you in there. But without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video. Hope you guys enjoy. First things first, let's talk strategy. It's important to know that we'll be running these Slayer Corrupt the Dungeons with one thing in mind: profits. With that said, we won't be activating the Shrine of Invading other players. Instead, we'll be focusing on clearing mobs and killing bosses efficiently. With that said, we'll be clearing these Corrupt the Dungeons so fast that other players won't be able to invade us, making this a low-risk method. But to do that, we'll need a build that allows us to speed through these dungeons efficiently. For all you long-term Greataxe Club members out there, I think you're going to like this build, as we'll be using the Greataxe itself. So, let's take a look at the build and see what abilities we'll be using. To start us off, the Q we'll be using is Rending Rage, which will allow us to cleave down large groups of mobs and will also provide a good single target damage for bosses. In case you don't have Rending Rage unlocked, that's perfectly fine, you can just use Rending Spin instead, which will also provide a great amount of AoE damage. For our W, we'll be using Raging Blades, again providing AoE damage as well as increasing our overall damage done. In case you don't have Raging Blades unlocked, you can choose Adrenaline Boost instead, for more overall damage, movement speed, and attack speed. The Greataxe E itself is Whirlwind, providing high levels of cleave damage which increases with each consecutive hit. I like to combo this with our W, Raging Blades, for more overall damage. And the passive we'll be using is Deep Cuts, providing more sustained damage with our normal attacks. Moving on to our helmet, we'll be using the Scholar Cowl for Energy Shield. Since we'll be chain pulling mobs and cleaving them down with our E, which is a very big energy drainer, we'll need something to restore a good amount of energy, which makes the Scholar Cowl the perfect choice. And for our passive, we'll be using Aggression for more overall damage. Next up is our chest, and we'll be using Stalker Jacket for Electric Field. Combined with our E, Electric Field will allow us to cleave down mobs no problem. And for our passive, we'll be using Balanced Mind for more damage and defense. For our boots, we'll be using Soldier Boots per Wanderlust. This will allow us to sprint around the dungeon and get to bosses faster. And for our passive, we'll be using Toughness for more overall defense. Moving on to our cape, we'll be using Demon Cape. Dropping this pool of lava with our normal attack provides for crazy amounts of damage. I like to try and save this for bosses, so keep an eye out for the cape cooldown and try and time it so it's ready to use for each boss. For our potions, we'll be using Poison Potions. I like to use these on mobs with high amounts of HP, or just bosses in general. And the food we'll be using is roast pork, providing overall self-healing every time we deal damage. And that's it. Now that you know how the build works, let's take a look at a few key points to make sure we're running these Slayer Corrupted dungeons as efficiently as possible. When starting the dungeon, my first tip would be to plan a route that has lots of mobs and is on the way to a boss. Our goal here is to gain 2,000 infamy points as quickly as possible in order to summon the final boss and to ensure no one invades our dungeon. Tip number 2, try your best to pull multiple mobs at once and get the most out of your AoE abilities. Clearing mobs one at a time is slow and inefficient, so use your boots, run around aggroing mobs, and cleave them all down once they're all grouped up. And tip number 3, be sure to loot all hidden treasures and kill all the bosses for as much loot as possible. These hidden treasures give you tomes of fame or loot that sells for a decent amount, and of course boss chests provide you with some good quality loot. And that is how I like to farm Slayer Corrupted dungeons for massive amounts of silver. The rest of the video will show how I like to speed clear these dungeons, while also taking a look at some of the loot I received. For those who are still watching, I want to thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you all next Sunday. Take care everyone, and stay safe.
Taking the world, you'll see they'll be calling.